Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lula. Andrew Rogers here with me. We are live on AM 590 ESPN Omaha and ESPN Tri-Cities. Joining us now on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline is Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing pretty well. Now that we're, 36 or so hours removed from the end of that game in Madison, how did you end up processing? I assume you went back and watched probably more than once like I do. In retrospect and kind of on second look, how did you feel about – I actually want to start on defense. How did you feel about the way the defense played against Wisconsin? Because in the moment, to me, it felt like they were worse than they were on second look.
Well, I thought they were pretty good against the pass. Obviously, Wisconsin hit a few, but nothing terrible. It was a tackle game. I thought Nebraska tackled fairly well, but missed a few. They missed a few big ones on Tanner Mordecai, and that hurt them. They got a couple of fourth down stops. I thought the defense played all right. I'm sure there's a couple plays they would love to get back. I thought Wisconsin hit them on that touchdown, and that was pretty good. So on the touchdown pass, that was a nice play, and hit him in the right scheme. Ty Robinson's on a zone blitz there. So he drops out, and he's the guy that's he's the linebacker there on the wheel route, not gonna make a play. So that's a hard one. They just hit the right scheme and scored a touchdown. But yeah, I thought Nebraska played okay on defense. Not great, not their best performance, but they're banged up. And I think they're not going to talk a ton about that. They don't want to talk a ton about it, but I think they're pretty darn banged up.
Sam, if I told you before the game Tanner Mordecai's legs would be the difference on the wear and tear to this Nebraska defense, you would have responded how?
I wouldn't have been that surprised. I mean, I think he's a scrambler, and that's why he's back out there. Let me tell you, it's not because he's a better passer. I think the other guy might be a better passer, Braden Locke. He doesn't have a strong arm, but he's not bad. Mordecai, though, what he brings to you is the knowledge of the offense, and also he can run. He's got a little bit of mobility, and Locke didn't have much. Nebraska wins that game, I think, if Locke's out there, because he just can't. He's not an escape guy. So I thought two things were really important. One, Mordecai had to play, and he was going to. And two, that Braylon Allen played. And he did. He didn't look 100%, but, A, he was a threat, and B, he leaned on Nebraska. And, every time you got to go tackle that guy is like a little hit. If you imagine a video game, it takes a bar from your energy. And so by the end of the game, that wears on you. And those don't necessarily seem like a ton of inches, but by game's end they are, and there you have it. So, I think I'm not surprised that he scrambled a couple times. Obviously, you don't want Javen Wright to miss that one play, and then you call a 6-man blitz there on third and 10 down, or 3rd and 11 down by the in overtime. Obviously, they're trying to get a sack and trying to force a field goal. He was able to worm his way through it, and there you go.
Sam, I'm curious how you felt about the clock management down the stretch there. A lot was made about Rule, kind of being okay with the field goal as opposed to going for a touchdown there to take the lead. Just kind of how you thought about that. And I mean, I guess whether or not you thought that was the right move there, playing for a tie on the road to go to overtime, or if you thought maybe they should have gone for the win there.
There's probably 3 or 4 alternate universes where you can unpack different things that they do there with $1:35 left at the 26. I think a number of issues inform that. He'll probably talk a little bit about it today. I don't think it's as controversial as some other people. So you're at the 26-yard line. You're certainly in the field goal range of the kicker, but he missed the 42-yarder to end the first half. you want to get closer. And you have the 3 timeouts, but simultaneously, and this is the area where, you can go back and forth. You don't want to leave Wisconsin a ton of time. Because if you do that, then maybe they got a chance to go down and kick a field goal. Now, Tanner Mordecai is Josh Allen, and, Will Pauling is Stephon Diggs. So maybe you don't worry as much about that. And I would have said it the previous week, is if kick the field goal there and, make Tonga Vailoa go down and get them a field goal. Make them do it, with an 80-yard deal. Same deal probably with Mordecai, but you never know. So, I think what you're trying to do there is just trying to run the clock down and not leave them any time, which they did successfully, and then at least tie the game, which they also did. Now, if you're talking about winning the football game, okay, you're on the road again. That's living in an abstract realm that doesn't take into account that your quarterback's a third string. He probably doesn't know the offense that well. And you don't have receivers out there who are elite receivers. You just don't, not yet. You're throwing to Malachi Coleman and Jalen Lloyd, and they're doing this for the first time. That's the first time they've been, and the second time they've been in that situation. Thomas Sidoni the same way. So, you can't. It's not EA Sports. You can't just imagine the play and think that it's necessarily going to work. When I was inside the 10 on the video game, I'd always go, like 4 verticals and adjust every route and I'd get what I wanted. But that is not how it works, right, with the college football game. So, I understand the thought process there. Maybe they could have taken another timeout at the 40-second mark and said, okay, it's 3rd and 1. We're going to go get a first down here. And then we're going to try to run it. We're going to try a quarterback draw. We're going to try something that maybe gets us inside the 4 or the 5. And then once you get inside there, then you got some different pass plays that in theory are safer. Maybe some other things they could have done. But at the end of the day, I wasn't that concerned about that. I'll say this, that the overtime strategy is interesting. One, I'm not sure there's a compelling argument anymore for going second. I really don't. I don't think there's a compelling argument anymore for going second. I think you can go first and you can put your points on the board and then you can see what your defense does. The other thing that happened is Nebraska had to go into the loud end, and it is a loud end. They put all their speakers down there in their student section and all that jazz. And Nebraska had to go into the teeth of that in overtime. I wonder what it would have looked like if Nebraska had won the toss and said, we'll play on that goal, which is on the Nebraska end, and then just see what Wisconsin's able to do with their, see what they're able to do on offense first. I'm not convinced that going second in overtime makes much difference. I just the only thing it gets you is if you get a stop and you're able to kick a field goal, but you're already in field goal range as it stands. So I'm not that. I think that's an area where I think over time you're going to see analytical strategy sort of change. I would have liked to have seen Nebraska go first in overtime and try to score right away and then put its defense back out of the field.
Sam, what did you make of Coach Rule's comments about the decision and the way that he handled the clock late in the game after things were all said and done? Do you think, based on what he said, he was actually influenced about how things went down last week, or do you think the frustration just kind of caught up to him in that moment and he may have said something that got twisted and, people took it a different way than he actually meant?
The latter. I think the latter. Although, again, let me say this. I thought they managed it. I was more okay with what they did against Wisconsin, far more okay than I was the week before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. So there you go. I mean,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
It was the latter. And again, those are things that he has paid the money to do this stuff. And I tweeted that. I was like, this is why they're paid the big bucks, is to figure this out, and to figure out what they're going to do. But the point at which I tweeted that was with 13 seconds left. It's like, okay, you got your plays. And I thought maybe they tried 2 plays. They only tried 1. There was intriguing clock management at the end of the first half too. These are not easy things to manage. And those are the decisions that Rule is paid to make. And I think that going for the fourth down early in the game, right decision. Play didn't work. So I think he makes a lot of good decisions, and so do a lot of other coaches. Happen to think the third down one last week probably wasn't the play, but he's paid the money to make them, and that's an area where you're always trying to get the best you can. It's funny. What I think of a good game day coach isn't necessarily the best coach in the NFL, and culture building and all those things matter. I think Mike Vrabel's about as good of a game day coach as you can get. He doesn't have a very good team because he hasn't got the quarterback position right. But that guy knows how to coach him, and I think Rule's done a nice job of coaching the culture. I don't know where he ranks as a game day decision-making coach. He seems to be pretty good, but we'll see. I think he made an objectionable decision last week on against Wisconsin. I didn't view it that way, but I know a lot of people did, which is interesting.
We're talking with Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Let's move on to the quarterback position. I know that's a place that a lot of people were talking about, not just this week, but in obviously the entire season. Just how did you feel about the way Chubba Purdy performed in his first start of the year?
That's the best quarterbacking performance of the season. So that's how I thought he performed. Obviously, he must be really banged up. He's not played before now. And my sense is he is banged up. And he's playing through a lot. So that's too bad because he played better than he played better than Harburg has the last 3 weeks. Now again, I'm not knocking Heinrich. I think Heinrich's pretty beat up too. I don't think he's been quite the same player since fourth quarter of the Purdue game. To be honest, or maybe even the third quarter. I can't really remember, but he got rocked in that game, and he got rocked in a lot of games. And Sims has just not been the guy that he was at Georgia Tech. So I thought Purdy played well. I thought he did a nice job scrambling. I thought he let loose on the two quick post plays right up the middle of the field. Didn't hesitate to throw it. Got to throw that thing quick. He did. Hit his back foot. Thought he did a nice job with the quick throw game. After camp, kind of thought that would be something they'd go to on Saturday, and they did. And I thought it worked nice. Thought it was a real nice stuff. Would have liked to have seen that earlier in the season. Didn't. So yeah, I played well.
Sam, as you kind of assess what took place over the weekend, and outside of just Chubba's play, how do you balance the criticism toward the coaching staff with the fact that this is theoretically a team with a bunch of third stringers at the skill position? Because I'm seeing a lot of back and forth, whether it's on social media or even people commenting on our show today about how we kind of have assessed this offense this season, and what one side believes is the fact that Nebraska's not putting up the points that they should be putting up. But in my point of view, they have a bunch of players that are a bunch of misfits that they weren't expecting to even see this season. So how do you kind of balance those two things?
I think that it is tricky because certainly there's things that are less than ideal. The quarterback position is the one where I think the first camp is probably right, because the guy that Nebraska selected to be the starting quarterback has not played well. And it isn't just that he got hurt. It's that when he's been healthy, he has not played well at all. And so that one's on the staff because Jeff Sims got healthy at some point and they chose not to play him. And then when they did insert him against Maryland, he turned the ball over 3 times in like 5 possessions. So that was on the staff. I think a lot of it, the offensive line's been relatively intact. I know Piper got hurt, but I think the line's been pretty good. I think they've blocked well. I think they've had a nice season. People are always too hard on them. And then, the stuff with the receivers and the running backs is real talk. And even though Anthony Grant's still healthy and he was the starter last year, I think there's some reasonable arguments there. It's hard to get old at receiver when you're young at receiver. You just have to get there. You need reps and time and reps and all those things. And Coleman and Lloyd are coming. They're coming along. The first year of almost every freshman receiver is hard. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not have a great freshman year. It's just hard. And so that second year is when they usually take the leap. And then hopefully that happens there. Nebraska has chosen to be an aggressive offense, right? So they're aggressive. They try to make big plays. Doesn't always work. As a result of not always working, they turn the ball over. Marcus Satterfield's offenses have long been turnover offenses. They've also been offenses that make big plays. And so that's part and parcel of what you got here. I think I don't know that people would be more satisfied if Nebraska had, Iowa or Northwestern's offense, but Iowa and Northwestern don't turn it over the way that Nebraska does. I think Northwestern, I can't remember how many turnovers they have, but not many. I think they have 6. Maybe they have more now. But that's the difference, is that Nebraska is a risk-reward offense, and they've incurred more risk than reward. And I can understand why people are frustrated. At the same time, the culture that they're trying to build appears to be set almost entirely in concrete, and I think that culture is good. You, with the transfer portal the way it is, you can go fix it, and they can go fix it. They can go fix the quarterback position, or at least get it better. And that's something they'll have to address in the offseason. I think they can get better at receiver by getting older. I think at running back, they'll get healthy again, and we'll just have to see. Anthony Grant's done, so this will be his senior day, and then we'll just see, how Gabe Irvin comes back, whether Ramir Johnson wants to come back. Emmett Johnson, I think, showed some good things this year. So, people can be critical, but they should be mindful of the things that are in place. The one thing that we can all agree on is quarterback. That was the room. The guy that started the season wasn't very good. The guy that came in actually did some really fun things and did some good things. And then he got hurt. And I think he just didn't play very well after he got banged up. And then Chuba Purdy looked pretty good, but he's been hurt all year. So it's a mixed bag at quarterback. But the fundamental truth is they picked Jeff Sims and they let Casey Thompson go. Now, Casey got hurt. But they let Casey Thompson go so they could pick Jeff Sims, and Jeff Sims hasn't played well. And that's on Rule and Satterfield. No, they'll have an opportunity to fix that in the offseason.
Sam, speaking of the quarterback spot and choosing guys, if you had to place your bet on any of the 3 guys to be a starter next year, or you would take the field, so anybody that's currently not on the team versus anybody that currently is on the team, are you taking the field in terms of who takes the first snap next year?
I'll defer that to a week or two from now, and I think some of it relates to health. I think we need to know what Chuba Purdy's surgery would be, if anything, and then I think we need to know what Harvard's health level is. I don't think it's just an ankle. I mean, I think the guy's tougher than nails, and it's taken a lot this year. So I wouldn't put it. I would not put any odds at this moment on Jeff Sims being the quarterback. So, I'm maybe more optimistic than some. I've watched all the quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and I think Harvard's got tools. I think Purdy's got tools. And if you think you're going to go out there and here's the other question, and this is something I'm going to try digging into, guys, in the next week or two. You need to figure out what the NIL commitment's going to be, because in order to get one of these guys, and the Texas Tech quarterback just went in the portal, you better pony up a lot of money. It's not going to be cheap until they get NIL reform in place, and I don't think they're going to by the time the portal opens. It's not going to be cheap. So the Tech guys in there, one of these 2 Arizona quarterbacks is going to be in there. I guarantee you. They got 2. They're both good. One replaced the other. One of the Arizona quarterbacks is going to go into the portal. Probably one of the Kansas quarterbacks going into the portal. Jalen Daniels says he's coming back. That probably means Jason Dean's going to go in the portal. One of the 2 Missouri quarterbacks is going to go in the portal. So you're just going to have to see who goes in and then how much money you're willing to pay. Because I don't think Jeff Sims probably, I know he got the Amigos deal, but I don't think Jeff Sims necessarily cost top dollar. How much does Nebraska want to pay, or how much does their 1890 operation want to pay, can pay for the right guy? I think Danny Kalen is coming in. I think Danny deserves a redshirt year to get stronger. There's lots of things I like about Danny's game. I don't know anything about Zane Flores' situation at Oklahoma State. That might be a shortcut NIL-wise. Maybe wouldn't cost as much, but I don't know what. But he wouldn't be any more experienced to come in and do anything than Chubba. So if you're talking about a transfer, you're talking about getting an old guy who's going to cost $1 million. And the question is whether Nebraska wants to do that. I don't think they do, but maybe they do. I don't know.
That Amigos deal, what is that? Like, you get your food, but then you have to give it back? Is that the Jeff Sims deal?
Well,
I'm not too sure.
He's a good guy.
I know he is.
I
know he is. I'm just poking fun.
It's unfortunate that he just hasn't been right. I don't really know why. He wasn't right in the Minnesota game. I don't know. Maybe this wasn't the offense he thought it was going to be. There's part of me that thinks that. I don't. Maybe he thought he was going to go into an offense that was more spread, more throwing the football, kind of like what Toledo does or something like that. I don't really know, but I don't think he's a great fit. The way I would describe Nebraska's offense is they don't play with much tempo, so each play needs to be well executed. And there's a lot of things within the components of a play, and that's just not Sim's strength. Sim's strength, I think, would be playing an offense where there's some tempo and he can get going and get the juices flowing and hit 2 runs and then hit a pass. And I just don't see that with Nebraska's offense. I don't see a fit.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, we appreciate it as always. We will talk to you again next week.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Sam.
That's Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Coming up next, we're going to talk some more Nebraska football and some high school football with our good friend Damon Benning. He will join us.
He's on the call tonight, right?
Yes, he's on all day today, and then our guy Vers is on tomorrow because Vers is coaching today and DB is coaching tomorrow. So they're just flip-flopping roles on that Nebraska Public Media. We'll have DB coming up next.